So we were discussing how a sober man thinks, right? So we started discussing that death can come to anyone, but it is different for a devotee. He is feeling that he's under Krishna's shelter, and a person who is not thinking about Krishna, then he is thinking about all other things which are separated from Krishna, right? And he is feeling so much what anxiety like I was feeling today, right? So it is a clear indication that when we get away from Krishna, when we forget Krishna, although I was remembering, I was thinking that Krishna, please, I need this and I'm freaking out right now. So probably that's how Krishna is so kind and merciful that he gave me this realization that you are saying that you are dependent on me, but you still freak out, you still think that you own something, you still think that you control the things. And this reminder is a great mercy, you know. uh, Otherwise people won't even get reminded of these things, they will keep getting frustrated. So anyways, this is how a devotee feels at the end of his life, that he is completely sheltered under Krishna's protection, and Krishna will take care of everything. And a person who is not thinking about the God or Krishna, then he is all over the place and really afraid of his death, right? So Prabhupada gave an analogy of how a kitten feels when he is in the mouth of his mother, and how a mouse feels when he is in the mouth of a cat, right? They feel totally opposite feelings. So then, moving on to, we also discussed that how Krishna is saying, if one understands that my birth and activities are completely transcendental, they don't see it from the lens of this material world, or the lens of their own experiences, or they don't speculate anything about Krishna. You know, they don't draw conclusions about Krishna's activities, or they don't judge Krishna's activities negatively. Then such people understand that Krishna is God, and his all birth and activity, whatever he does or anything related to him, is transcendental, beyond the realm of this material world. Then such a person, once he leaves this body, he never comes back to this place of misery, right? Because we are continuing thinking that, okay, these are our people, this is our family. But as I gave you an example yesterday, that a man lost the whole family in a, plane crash, and he was left alone, so he lost the purpose of life. He was in a mental care for a few years. So that's what should not happen, because although it's a very tall order, but that's the fact of the life. Although it doesn't happen with everyone, but we should always know the fact it is good. So a sober man thinks that I want to live eternally, and why does that takes place? So means a sober man asks important questions regarding the life. Although the questions like, daily bread, our grades, our kids' grades, and dropping off, picking up, everything, all these things are important, but these are only related to today, and we need to think about our eternal journey, right, which is a journey of the soul. So in under that eternal journey, these questions are more important, that why death comes, why disease comes. I don't want all these things, I don't want misery, but miseries are coming, right? So these are all the real questions. So Prabhupada gives example of America, that it is materially very advanced, but still people are not satisfied, because they are opting to hippie culture at his time. And now also we see that young generation is quite bewildered, and they don't know what to do, and they are spending time on screens, and they are then very dissatisfied after all, after everything, and they are opting to different experiences. So they try different drugs to be on a high, to be on high, just to gain some different experiences. So youth is all behind this, and then they are like becoming weak at their hearts, becoming weak in their resolves, in becoming weak in their determination. Once in a while, like when Krishna's mercy happens, then certainly somebody might turn to the truth and understand the life's purpose and value, and then they can become serious about spiritual life. as well as like, uh, community service, social service, some positive activities, right? But for that, one really needs to understand, who am I? What is the purpose of my life and everything? So many people do philanthropic activities, but purpose is still not clear, because they are some or the other ways. Many times it is seen that they are, satisfying what they like, or satisfying their own egos, or trying to gain fame or something. I'm not generalizing this, but we see that many times, people make big donations here and there, but their names are shining. But yes, there are many people who do anonymous donations also, so they feel good about it. But very few people do it for the sake of pleasing the god. Okay, because god is usually not in picture. They are in the picture, that what I like, what I want, something like that. So it is a very subtle point and heavy also. Many people won't agree on this, because people now and then make donations, and they might start questioning themselves, really, what she is speaking is right? Did I think that way? And they might feel bad about it, that she's, just being too much. So my point is not that, but how many people are thinking about God when they are making some charity? So if they are thinking, that's great, that's what is required, that is God consciousness. But if they are not thinking, they need to make a little shift, that this is for God's purpose. Why? Because this money doesn't belong to me, or this commodity doesn't belong to me, which I am donating. This has come to me only by God's will only, right? So if that much gratitude is there, no pride is there in the heart, then that is really God conscious. So that is the standard of God consciousness. So next paragraph, a spiritual so yeah, so how Prabhupada ended this paragraph, earlier one, that everything is there to maintain the body, but soul is starving. Our real identity is starving, and therefore we feel a void. Okay, therefore, so material you may be very opulent, but if you starve spiritually, you cannot be happy, right? Things won't bring happiness, they bring only pleasure, and pleasure is always temporary. We need to get the difference between happiness and pleasure. So things bring pleasure, not happiness. Pleasure is temporary. Happiness is something which stays with us, which stays with our heart. A spiritual rejuvenation is required. You must realize, Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body, I am Brahman, spiritual soul. Then you will be happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Na shochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu. So this is a verse in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14. So Prabhupada is quoting this verse, that when we realize that we are spirit soul, we become so prasanna, means we become so happy, that we are na shochati, means what? We are not lamenting for the past, na kankshati, and we are not hankering for the future. So usually our states are these two only, right? Either we are lamenting upon something which has happened in the past, or we are wanting something to happen in the future, or we are worrying about the future, right? So, but one who has realized his identity as a spirit soul, he becomes so happy that he is na shochati, na kankshati, means he is neither lamenting over the past, nor hankering for something in the future. And sama sarveshu bhuteshu, he becomes equal to all. He understands that same super soul is dwelling in everyone's heart. Everyone is spiritually equal. Maybe materially there are differences, right? Poor, rich, this car, that car, or tall and short, black or white, or something. They becomes equal to everyone. Their vision becomes like that. So these all great elevated souls, the sannyasis, they are seeing everyone on equal level, right? We might find some hesitation to embrace like or some other person who is not looking so good, but these sannyasis, they embrace everyone equally, and they talk to everyone on a soul platform. So then Prabhupada continues, then there will be equality, equality, fraternity, brotherhood. Otherwise, it is all bogus. So universal brotherhood is talked about very much, but how that universal brotherhood would come unless there is a spiritual vision, right? if there is a material vision, then always we will see the differences. Oneness can be seen only through spiritual vision. And what is that oneness? That we all are parts and parcels of the same God. So otherwise it is all bogus, simply high sounding words. There cannot be equality, fraternity, and so on without Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, right? Come to the spiritual platform, then you will see everyone equally. Otherwise, you will think I am a human being with hands and legs, and the cow has no hands and legs. So let me kill the cow and eat it. Why? What right do you have to kill an animal? You have no vision of equality for want of Krishna consciousness, because it is lack of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, in this material world, so called education, culture, fraternity, all these are bogus. Krishna consciousness is the right subject matter to be studied. Then society will be happy, otherwise, not. Thank you very much. So, this was a lecture given by Srila Prabhupada. So, also, I have read in Prabhupada's writing and also in books of Gita Press that at the time of great kings like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, you know, they considered even animals as their praja. Even if something wrong is happening with the animals, they used to take care of it. So, a great example, if some of you have read this pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam, that the personality of Kali was actually cutting the legs of the Dharma, who came in the form of a bull, right? So, four pillars of Dharma are truthfulness, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness. Three legs he had cut off. Only truthfulness is remaining now in this age of Kali. So, mercy has gone because they are killing so many animals rampantly all over the world. Austerity has gone because nobody wants to be austere for the sake of spiritual realization. So nobody wants to do any kind of like say for example 2 hours meditation, or fasting on these days. Many people do, but many majority doesn't do. Very less people do this. And cleanliness means what? Mingling with different people, or illicit relationships with different people, right? So that these all things are very rampant nowadays. Only truthfulness is little bit remaining. That is the last leg of Dharma bull. And Parikshit Maharaj saw Kali beating the Dharma bull, and he immediately took out his sword to kill the personality of Kali. But actually, Kali Yuga was supposed to come, right? This is God's will that after Dwapar, Kali has to come. So Kali actually begged from Parikshit Maharaj to forgive him and give him some space, because he is destined to come. So then Parikshit Maharaj gave him space in different places. So those are all details. But the point to convey is that those rulers, those were called as Rajarshis, means they were Raja and Rishis also. So their temperament was of like Rishis, great sages, very sober personalities, but their occupation was a king, right? So they used to take care of even the animals of the society very nicely. Okay. So quickly, we will start this topic and will end with over completion of one paragraph. So we completed reincarnation, and next comes the self and its bodies. So first, here is a quote. You are suffering because in your past life, you indulged in sense gratification and got a body according to karma. So whatever body we have today, it is according to our past karma. Good or bad, whatever. I mean, I'm not talking about good or bad, whatever we have. So nature doesn't have punishments. Nature only has consequences. Okay. We can tell this to our children also. If we unknowingly put our finger in the fire, it will get burned. Fire will not think that, okay, they are doing it unknowingly, right? So nature has only consequences, no punishment. So nobody should think that why I'm being punished in this way, why God is doing in this way. We have done something, so consequence is coming. Either good or bad, we can define it for ourselves, right? Because if something good happens to us, it might be bad for others. Okay. So, so we did something, so accordingly we get our body. Srila Prabhupada tells listeners at a lecture delivered at the Hare Krishna Center in Detroit, Michigan in June 1976. He then goes on to explain the secret of how to become free from karma and enjoy perfect happiness. So, यथज्ञास तमस्य युक्ता उपास्ते व्यक्तम एव हि न वेद पूर्वम अपरम नष्ट जन्म स्मृतिस्तथा. As a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams and accepts it to be himself, so one identifies with his present body, which he acquires because of his past religious or irreligious actions, and it is unable to know his past or future lives. So, like in our dreams, sometimes, somebody was sharing with me recently, they were looking themselves as bird and they were flying around, right? So they took a body of bird actually. So our soul is actually dwelling in those places wherever we are, like the places that we are dreaming, right? So then we start identifying with that body because our soul is gone inside that body, right? So that is the secret of dreams, that our soul is dwelling in our dreams. So uh, and similarly, we are identifying with our present body because our soul is inside this body. Suppose our soul gets out and gets into some another body, then our soul will start identifying with that body because our active part is in that body now. Our this body will be gone, right? So when somebody get possessed, so these are real things. When someone gets possessed, their soul actually is replaced by that possessing soul. So they start identifying and they start behaving like that. I have seen some people that they are, crying wildly and doing such, so these kind of things. So this is very, very important thing that we are going to read, and I'll stop here with this nice verse.